This is a Discord bot maker, and it's also probably the most hated combination of words in the Discord developer community. Discord bot makers are software that help you easily create any Discord bot you want. But how good are they? Are they even worth your time? Is the hatred towards them justified? Can you actually call yourself a professional Discord bot developer with experience in Discord bot maker? Today I'm gonna try some Discord bot makers, but I'm not just gonna try them, I'm gonna rate them. The criteria will be learning curve, how difficult is it to learn the software, can you just pick it up and start creating, or do you have to read a 2000-page wiki? UI navigation, how well can you interact with the program? Are there shortcuts that can heavily boost your productivity? Is the UI well thought out? API covering, how much of the API can you use with the software? Customization, how well can you customize the software and the bot? Each criteria will have 6 points, making the total score 24. At the end we'll see which one is the best, and if I'm convinced that they are actually good for beginners. Discord bot controls. Launching the app seemed really slow. It took about 16 seconds to fully load, and I was immediately prompted to join the Discord server. Listen, if you're gonna make me join your Discord server with no option to refuse, at least make the pop-up work. This is not a good start. This bot maker was launched in 2019 and it really shows.
Oh, there is no way it's running on Discord.js version 12 and now 10 and then BM9. We are gonna create a new project. We're gonna call it bottom game. So if you want to get more information on what this field called messages says, reply. I created a command called button which should reply with some random characters I've set. Is there okay, this is where I put my token. I was looking for the button that starts the bot, but then I found the console. Well, it didn't really work, but it was customized nonetheless, which was interesting to see. I got bored exploring, so I got a Discord bot token and tried to run on this ancient machine. I tested and the command did work, but then I broke it by adding an embed. Apparently it can do embeds, or there was an error, which I can't see by the way, because this literally doesn't show any command line output. I got bored again, so I tried reading the exported code. Why is everything inside the JSON file? Where can I actually see the code? Or is everything gonna be a JSON file? This genuinely sucks. I cannot do anything. At the end I decided to mess with some plugins, which I assume is pre-made code. The dice command went like this. Okay, I expect it to at least have an image or an emoji, but it's just a random number generator. But then I found it, the plugin that could actually impress me. Oh, there's music. It doesn't work. Okay. Yep, this just sucks. Alright, I guess I exploded everything. Let's rate it. So for the learning curve, I mean, it's the simplest you can get. I will give it a 5 out of 6, minus a point because it didn't really have a tutorial introducing you to everything. But overall, if I'm being honest, this software is extremely easy to use. For UI navigation, I didn't see any shortcut options, I didn't see anything impressive in terms of looks. The whole app felt like a blank template, which isn't a bad thing by the way. It's just that it didn't really impress me. 1 out of 6. API covering. Right, can we just cut this off for this bot maker? It sucks. The only API coverage of getting that you can actually control is logging in, sending and receiving messages. 0 out of 6, man. I don't even need to sugarcoat it here. Customization, straight up nothing in terms of software, I think. You do have full access over your bot though. 3 out of 6, making the total score 9 out of 24. Bot Studio for Discord. This software was amazing to use, with a few exceptions. When you launch the app, you get asked to choose a folder that it will use to save your files for the bot. I clicked on the Commands tab and I was surprised. The view was amazing. The only way I could describe the user interface is Scratch, but with wiggly lines. There were some commands there like help and info, which I used to test the software. The help command worked, but the info one didn't. And to my surprise, there was a console output for errors. The first Discord bot maker set the bar low, didn't it? I've deleted the help and info command to make my own game, which basically goes like this. You run the setup command, which will send a message which has as content the current score, and below there will be a button that you're supposed to click to increase the score. I know it's simple and you can't really call it a game, but I think it's a great project for testing the capabilities of the bot makers. After all, if it cannot make a game, how would I recommend it? Oh, we can actually add a slash command, okay, that's interesting. I've tried slash commands, but I was confused that I couldn't connect them with anything since by that point I didn't figure out there was an events tab separated from the commands tab. How do I connect it? I tried searching for a button interaction collector,
which basically should tell you when someone clicks a button, but I only found the reaction collector.
Okay, this... I hate this. Oh. How did I do that? Okay.
I've tried setting a variable for our score, but I just couldn't get it to work at all. The main issue was the fact that you literally can't set a value for the variable, and you can only set it as an argument. At the end I just gave up and decided to use a user-only data, which basically means that instead of a global counter, the clicks will be saved to your user profile. And it worked.
Okay, let's try again. Game. Click. 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 And it works.
Alright, learning curve. I gotta say, this was pretty simple. The fact that it only took me 45 minutes to create something as complex as a button game was pretty impressive. I mean, sure, it could have taken me way shorter to do this via programming, but again, the learning curve is pretty simple once you get used to it. I do have to mention the fact that you might not understand some of the variables, but the developer did an amazing job at describing each property. 6 out of 6. For UI navigation, it's not really the smoothest. I've experienced some lag spikes while switching between tabs on the main page, but to be fair, you're probably not going to be bothered by that, as you will spend most of your time in either the Commands tab or the Events tab. The developer did an amazing job on the UI, it looks great, it felt smooth, everything was placed in the right spot, just right. I couldn't find any shortcuts that can be used though, maybe I didn't search enough. 5 out of 6. If I'm being fair, I assume the bot builder for Discord can do models and the latest API features. However, it did support mostly everything I've needed for making the game I had in mind, and I didn't experience any of those. Oh, the library doesn't support this API part, let's find an alternative. Also, I'm gonna give it a bonus 1 point for having such a big ecosystem of mods, as they call them. 4 out of 6. For customization, you are free to do anything you want with the bot. The software itself wasn't really customizable, but you can literally move any part of the code you want, anywhere, which is cool. 4 out of 6. The total score for Bot Studio for Discord is 19 out of 26. Amazing project. BotGhost. This bot maker is running on a website unlike the others. I know what Electron is, please stop writing that novel correcting me in the comments. Please know that I used this a very long time ago, so I will most likely be biased and critique it more. When you create a project, you're met with an actual tutorial, which I can appreciate. This follows the design of the past one, except it's going for the vertical alignment rather than horizontal, more like Scratch. I tried to create the same game in here, but just couldn't figure out how to modify the variable. The dropdown was always empty and the documentation just read line for line the custom variable to run the equation on, with no further clarification or even explanation on how to get that variable. At that point I just gave up and tried browsing their market. It was pretty fun and full of scripts made by others, a great feature in my opinion. I've decided to mess around with the economy and loop nodes. I set the loop to run 50,000 times while adding 500 to the user's economy balance, and I somehow broke it. For the learning curve, it's simple enough. It does get progressively messier and weirder the more you try to advance your project, but overall if you want some simple commands like currency and such, this is good. 5 out of 6. For UI navigation, moving the nodes felt really weird to say the least. The user interface does look good though. It's not gonna be as smooth since it's a website, and I did have some of those "oh wait, this is a website" reality checks multiple times while using it. Shortcuts are also unavailable since the majority of the keystrokes are mapped to the browser, and the fact that the UI looks good just isn't enough to sugarcoat the score. 3 out of 6. API covering. While I did have some features that I didn't expect, such as modals, I literally couldn't find a way to edit the message. You can pretty much only access the essential endpoints with nodes such as edit role and send message. 3 out of 6. Customization. Come on man, it's a website. What do you expect? The software has no customization options. Your bot will always have a status advertising BotGhost, but this is a pretty good trade-off for having free hosting, and also BotGhost is free, unlike the others. 1 out of 6. BotGhost gets a total score of 12 out of 23. Discord bot maker. I think we are recognizing a pattern here. This is the single bot maker that I was aware of before making this video. It's been here for a long time and it's still being updated. Opening the app, apparently the whole project underwent a rewrite to version 2. I created the project and waited a few minutes for it to set up. The starting screen did look clean, with a selection of commands, events and settings. I created the command with the name game, and since it defaulted to /command, I left it on default. For the first node I meant to send a message, then I found out you can also attach buttons to it without a separate node, so I did. After that I had to find the interaction create event to respond to the button clicks, only if I could find it. I read the whole list quickly, I read it again, read it one by one, searched on the Discord bot maker forums, I just couldn't find it, so I reverted to using reactions instead of buttons. Fast forward to me trying to collect the emoji reaction event, I couldn't find a way to easily reference the member object to the nodes, so I just left the bug there and tried to finish the game. But then I couldn't modify the score assay to the member data. I searched it, tried referencing it, tried unrelated nodes, nothing. In the end I just gave up on the game I had in mind, so I tried to find some themes. For the learning curve, it's not really the simplest if I'm being honest. There are a lot of options for you to choose from, and it might take some time till you get used to everything. There is no introduction to the software at the start, you're just left to explore. However, the UI does compensate for this by not being overwhelming. 4 out of 6. For UI navigation, it's simplistic with some animations here and there. You can create folders, it doesn't really feel overwhelming, there aren't any shortcuts as far as I'm aware. 5 out of 6. API covering. As I previously mentioned, I couldn't find the interaction create event, but I'll assume that was my bad. The software seems to support everything in the API as it uses Discord.js and allows you to write your own JavaScript straight from the editor. 6 out of 6. Unlike the others, Discord bot maker allows you to actually customize its appearance. You simply have to paste a folder in the themes folder. I did that with a community-made theme called Recula, which is basically an intensified dark mode, and it looked great. You basically own every right to your Discord bot, so that's not even worth talking about. 6 out of 6. The total score for Discord bot maker is 22 out of 26. Studio bot maker. Come on man, choose a different name. Everything is studio, maker, bot, Discord. This bot maker is actually still in beta and just about to launch on Steam as the writing of this video. And it's made by a friend of mine, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Also, this is not an advertisement. I gotta say, this is probably the most animated Discord bot maker I've tried. I don't really like how the first letter of every word is uppercase sometimes. The interface was confusing at first since there was no introduction to it, but I quickly figured it out. I made a slash command called game like usual, messed around with the buttons, and made it send a message. I tried adding a button, but then I couldn't find the interaction create event again, maybe it's a problem on me. I deleted the button and made it add a reaction instead, and I made it create a variable. I tried editing the message content after you reacted with the mouse emoji, but apparently there is no editing node for now, so we'll send a message instead I guess. I had to increase the score by 1, so I used the calculate node which had some bugs, and I had to manually fix it, but this is a pre-production build, so that's normal. After all that, it kinda worked. For the learning curve, it's quite simple, even though it looks confusing at first. Maybe it's because I already have almost every property memorized. 6 out of 6. For UI navigation, there are some things that I didn't like the fact that the console doesn't usually let you highlight text you're highlighting, but if we are talking about the terminal, it does look good. The animation makes the software feel very smooth combined with the customizable keystrokes. 6 out of 6. API covering. Not that good to be fair. Editing the message was literally not implemented. How could you even forget that? There was also no option for removing the reaction from an individual user, which would have been helpful in this scenario. Apparently it's missing voice capabilities. I didn't check if others had voice capabilities either though, so I'm not gonna count that. 3 out of 6. Customization, what can I say, it's there. It's as customizable as the past one. You can import your own theme or select a theme from the presets. You also fully own a bot. 6 out of 6. Totaling the score to 21 out of 26. The final rankings are this. Now for the final question. Would I recommend this to a complete beginner wishing to create a Discord bot? No. But let me explain. If you just want to have a bot reply to a specific command, use a bot like Carlo or Dino. That way you don't have to care about hosting the bot 24/7. But if you want to make a Discord bot that is actually complex, or has originality or something, if you want to make it have a game, just use a programming language at that point. That way you have full access to Discord's API and you don't have to care about a developer maintaining your software. But that's my opinion. If you like it, you shouldn't really care what a random guy on the internet says about it. A big thanks to all the patrons and members for supporting the channel. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.